Hello! I think I'm live. I think it's working. Thank you for being so patient. I know we said 3 p.m. It's 3:15. It wouldn't be Self-Care Sunday without tech problems. No, that's not true. That's not true. But I'm learning a ton, and things are interesting. Things are interesting here at Self-Care Sunday HQ. So good to see y'all here. Just want to take a minute to welcome everyone who's here. Nearest Howell, maybe not everybody, because there's a lot of you, but Alana, Warhol, Oscar, Lyra, Alicia Workman, Nanny, Raging Artist. I relate to that. You should have seen me yelling at my software a minute ago. It was a rage. Eula Chavez, Nima, M, Brianna. Love you guys. So great to have you here for Self-Care Sunday Live. Oh, God. I hit the desk. Anyway, here we are. Trying a new thing that I've been working on. So we've got, over here, we've got the chat and then Tiffy Cam in the bottom. So we got more real estate here in the main view. Today, I know I get carried away with the tech. Today is going to be a very exciting day. Let me put this a little lower so we can talk. So yeah, today is an exciting day, not only for Self-Care Sunday, but also for Audio Drama Sunday, because we have another incredible creator guesting on the show who was here last week, Eli Barraza, who creates a show that is really just extraordinary. If you haven't listened to The Far Meridian, it is a tiny dose of brilliance in your ears. And yeah, she was here on Pride Week. We have a conversation that we recorded last week that will, I promise, feel as live as my normal interviews feel, because it's totally unedited. And yeah, I hope that you enjoy that. But before we get there, a couple of things. I am indeed wearing an Eiffel shirt. This is an experimental test that I did a while back with a inside label. We didn't end up doing it because it makes the shirt cost like another like $5 to $10. It's like not cheap. But yeah, digging that. First, I just want to acknowledge Nizzy Holloway. I totally appreciate feeling stressed around birthday stuff and all that, and I just appreciate you being open about what's going on, and that this is a time that you've been looking forward to. It means the world to me. So yeah, and just to everybody here, I just am forever blown away by the amazingness of the chat. So yeah, you guys are an incredible community that I am just always surprised and blown away by and honored to hold space for right here on YouTube. Oh man. So yeah, I thought that we'd take a sec. The theme for today is FOMO. I was thinking we'd explore different themes every week. And yeah, the first one that came to mind was FOMO, which I'm sure we will revisit in future episodes. If you don't know what FOMO is, it's fear of missing out. I talk about it in my interview with Eli, and yeah, the whole idea of themes is that at some point, if the Patreon that I have hits $1,000 a month, I'll be bringing back Focused.af, the podcast that I was doing daily. I'll be bringing it back as a monthly deep dive into themes like fear of missing out and things that I think are stuff that we deal with and stuff that we maybe aspire to deal with more effectively or whatever. Basically, I just think organizing this around themes is going to be more useful for you and more fruitful for me as a creator to sort of get my head around like who to have on as a guest and what we're going to talk about and that sort of a thing. If you guys have themes that you'd like to recommend, please do in the chat and in the comments on this video. And I want to take a second to welcome some other people who aren't with us right now. And that's you, whoever's watching this not live. It's amazing to have you here. Thank you for joining. You're as much a part of this community as the folks who come live, even though you may not see your comments in the chat on the screen. You can definitely leave your comments below. I read them. I like to reply to all of them. I've been a little slow lately because things have been crazy busy, but there have been so many developments and exciting things. I don't want to announce anything prematurely, but I think I might be getting an extra set of hands in the next couple weeks. I think I might be hiring somebody, but that depends on a couple of other things that are still in the air. So yes. Oh my God, Perla Gill, congratulations on graduating from high school. Let's take a sec. Yeah, if you guys have any questions for me, I'm going to be doing a little bit of a Q&A before this. But yeah, I was thinking after I play the interview with Eli, I would love to take a couple of phone calls, as far as like advice and creating goes. I love talking with people who are up to something and are just like dealing with, you know, how to move forward, how to use the energy and the time that we have most effectively. So I haven't perfected a way for y'all to call in, so we'll cross that bridge when we reach it. Look at this little cat in the corner over here. So cute. So cat. Tiffy's been doing all right. I think she's like got something going on. Ooh, yeah, I see she's like sneezing, but I don't think it's anything serious. I guess to start things off, Maya Zolf wants to know how I'm doing today, and the answer is I'm great. I think that there's always more that I'd love to do. I feel like I should be exercising more. I feel like I have been sleeping, which is good, but I could always be sleeping more. I feel like I could be watching less Netflix. You know, it's like blah, blah, blah. I think that there's always stuff that I'd like to change about life. But at the end of the day, the more things change, the more I find they stay the same. And I circumstantially am better off than I was 2 weeks ago. I closed a gig that I will announce here. It's related to Project Uplift. Once I get the check, once I get the deposit check, I will shout it from the hilltops. It's very exciting, and maybe the biggest news for Project Uplift in its history. Maybe no. That's, I think, going to Singapore and building it there. If you haven't seen my TED Talk, you can check that out on the channel. But yeah, it's pretty big news. It's definitely the biggest news this year so far in 2017, which is cool, because that's cool. So yeah, so that's coming. So yeah, and I really appreciate that, Alana Warhol. I will take it on my own pace. It is one of those things that I struggle to remember, and I love reminding myself and as many people as I can along the way that we are all in our own race, and that ultimately, at the end of the day, there's no one thing that success looks like, except for Tiffany. Tiffany looks like universal success. Anyway, so Jessica O'Neill asks, Zach Valenti, how do you balance the work that you like with the work that you have to do? I've recently been finding it hard to juggle keeping up with AP and my artwork. So that's a great question, and it's one that I think that I still deal with. Um, and yeah, so like, I think on the one hand, there's like approaching the limit of zero, like that thing in math where like you never actually quite make it. It's about getting as close as you can. And then there's like optimizing, and I think there's some broad strokes of advice that I'd give you for that. And so yeah, so to start out, okay, this is yeah, that's what I want. I just want to get the chat open on another box because yeah, there we go. So let's see. So how to split your time between sort of what you have to do and what you want to do. So one thing is I would define the sort of outcomes of like what, you know, like what results need to happen. Like I was just doing it actually with a friend who's got an incredible brand, an incredible idea, incredible project. And they're strapped for time because they have a full-time job, they have like a full YouTube channel that they're building, and they have like a bunch of other things that they want to build creatively. And so what I have written on my wall is 448, which is every month you get 448 hours awake. 448 is like this magic number that if you're getting, I think it's like 7 or 8 hours of sleep, because if you're 24 hours in a day times 7 days a week times 4 weeks a month. Oh, that's a diffy. That's 662 minus 8 hours a night times 7 times 4 is 448. So yeah. So if you want 8 hours of sleep a night, which is the medically recommended amount of sleep for human beings, you got 448. So I would just make a spreadsheet and really look at like how many hours does it take you to do what you need to do for AP? How many hours would it take you to like stretch the muscles that you want to stretch? And I would get really specific with like the creative things you want to do. Like for instance, if you wanted to like write a full movie, like why don't you start with the outline? And like if you're like not even ready for that, like why don't you start with like one character bio and set that goal for like a month and see where you get. I think the biggest thing that you could do as somebody who wants to be more creative is to bring a scientist's attitude to your life and like live your life as an experiment where you're constantly sort of looking at like how long does this take? And I wouldn't get too in the weeds about it, like, you know, just like jot down a time when you sit down, or like just schedule out in Google Calendar like when you're gonna do something, and then at the end of that time look at like how much you got done and just kind of keep a borderline list. A borderline list, that's not English. That's what happens when you've got 3 screens. You get the idea. I hope that answers your question. If not, please follow up question in the chat. Alrighty. Mitzrayim. Hi, Mitzrayim. Welcome. How did you decide which creative works to stick with? I have a bad habit of jumping from project to project. Well, I am delighted that you have the view of me that I don't jump from project to project. And I think that part of that, so there's an interesting effect of being online that can create an illusion that is not accurate to reality. So I constantly am jumping between projects, and mostly not for the better. And I think the biggest reason why it looks like I am good at sticking with things is one, I've gotten better. So I've definitely improved from my baseline of just like constantly running from one thing to another, but I have so many videos on my hard drive that are unfinished things from as far back as college to as most recently as late last year. And I've gotten better at not starting things that I probably won't finish. But I also have like, for all of those things that I like, videos that I haven't started, I still have a bajillion websites, like domain names that I buy and then do nothing with. So, like I've stopped spending my time, but started spending my money. But anyway, so to answer your question, with a more straight answer, so like, I think the biggest reason why it looks like I'm able to focus on stuff is I've gotten better at working in teams. When it was just me, it looked like a hot mess of lack of focus. When it's me with Gabrielle and Sarah and every amazing artist involved in Wolf 359, that's when we're cooking with gas. That's when things get super, super interesting, in terms of, I can do that and focus on that for 10 hours a week, 20 hours a week, 30 hours a week, depending on the week, and do other things, and that will move down the court because somebody else is taking another part of it and it's like sort of I'm passing the baton off after recording to Gabrielle, and he runs it across the finish line to your ears in the podcast feed. And I think one of the things I'm looking to do more with Uplift is like bring somebody else into the fold, whether it's somebody that I'm paying or somebody who's paying like the project with their time for equity. It's like having those partnerships. So like I'm building an iPhone game with my roommate right now in my free time. And in order to do that, I rely on him doing the coding and the development work while he relies on me to make sure that he has the art and the music that he needs. And I'm not making that music or that art, but I'm finding the people who will and collaborating with them. And so I think that teamwork makes the dream work. Love that expression. And yeah, that is, I feel like, the most like actionable thing that I can think to tell you in terms of how to manage a lot of different creative fronts is to basically have teams around any result you're trying to produce. Otherwise, it's not a bad thing to have a bunch of hobbies. It's not a bad thing to like basically dabble in things. Like there's nothing wrong with like not recording an album, but just playing your instrument because you want to play your instrument and being a multi-instrumentalist. You may run into the thing that I've suffered from, which is the thing that I've run into that's only suffering if you have an expectation, which is I don't have work for people to look at, or it's not as good as it could be. And that's, I think, just like, those like beds of nails that people can lie on, and it's like that like magic / circus trick where you lie on the bed of nails and none of them stab you. That's because when you divide up the like pressure of every the pressure of one thing across many little objects, you're not going to get pierced. But if you step on one nail, it'll go through you. I think that that's true of attention too. It's like if you want to break through the noise of the internet, if you want to get on people's radar, you really do have to focus on that one point to pierce through. Whereas if you're divided up in many different ways, you may never break through people's attention. It's sort of a weird metaphor. I think I'm mixing them and kind of confusing. I hope that's clear what I'm trying to say. If you know that you want to be the next blank, like the next, like, whatever, insert famous artist here that is your role model, I think it would be useful to make a list of everything that you should say no to, which is basically anything that's not gonna get you closer to that goal. It's hard to say no. I give that advice knowing that I am the worst at taking that advice. that is still my advice for me as well. Let's see. All right. Oh, awesome. I'm glad you guys like that analogy. Oh, what up, Jake Moylan? You're right on time. There's no wrong time on Self-Care Sunday. Oh man, people coming out? Congratulations on coming out! Just in time for the end of Pride Month. I guess technically it was over, but like, let's be real. It's always a good month to be proud. What is the name of your iPhone game going to be? And if not that, then the concept of the game. Alana Warhol, oof. I would love to tell you. I need to talk to my roommate first. What I can tell you is that it's going to be super dumb. And when I say super dumb, I don't mean that in like talking down to my work or like diminishing myself. I mean like when my roommate came at me with this idea, we both loved how dumb the idea was. It's got a lot of fart jokes in it. It's mostly one giant fart joke. The exciting thing is that what was I going to say? The exciting thing is that it's going to be dumb. It's going to be great. It's going to be cross-platform, I think. It won't just be on iPhone. We're trying to figure out the best way to do it and to make it free with ways to monetize it so that ideally we could start a game studio. Like, I think ultimately I love the idea of Project Uplift being an Uplift Industries initiative. Like, basically there being a company that's the mission of which is to surprise, delight, and transform people to see possibility where previously maybe they didn't. And I think that Project Uplift is like one thing, like this dumb game is like another, and like all these things can like kind of be part of just like a bigger team initiative. I saw a timely comment. I'm glad that you asked that question. Alicia Workman asks, is it all right to DM you on Twitter, and how long does it usually take to answer? The answer to that question is yes. It is totally cool to DM me on any platform, and the how long it takes to answer is unfortunately, I don't know. I have too many inboxes to manage alone. To be responsible for all of them is impossible. Yeah, just keep trying. I saw your message. Things that require me to look at a calendar and get a sense of if I can do them are less likely to get a response unless it's an immediate yes, let's do it right now, than things like questions or ideas or stuff like that. So yeah, that's that. Andrew, is that you? I think I heard somebody come into my apartment. He's been away for a while. Hey, Andrew. Okay. I know he's home because my bag that I lent him is on the floor. So maybe we will talk about this game, but probably not. But anyway, tips on keeping cats from scratching the furniture. Oof. Any tips on keeping a cat from scratching the furniture? So yes. Mitzrayim, I have an answer for this question. What you're not going to like is that at the end of the day, if kitty's going to scratch, kitty's going to scratch. What I found is really useful is a lemon oil and eucalyptus oil and water mixture in a spray bottle. And you just put it all in a bottle, you shake it up, and you spray. It smells kind of nice. And apparently those essential oils are something that cats don't like. It's like irritating for them, so they'll just stay away from that like realm, which is good. I've used that to get them to stop peeing, which has sort of effectively gotten her to stop scratching as well. So yeah, so that's that. But there's no real guarantee. She's destroying my little rug. Yeah, that's the other thing is get your cat something to healthfully scratch and cover it, blanket it with catnip, and it'll be great. It helps a little bit. I have a little thing that she can scratch, so that she's not scratching my rug that's made out of my grandfather's suits that my grandmother sewed. Alrighty. Yes, we can all appreciate how Tiffy is curled into a cute little ball of cat, and it is adorable. You're adorable. They love you. I disturbed the ball of cat. How could I? I come bearing scratches. So yeah, Mitzrayim, there's no way to guarantee that the cat won't scratch the couch. But good luck. I have a feeling that he will probably fall in love with her or him or it as soon as you get it, and that's great. But yeah, good luck with that. Some cats are better than others. This cat is pretty good. She's not the best about not scratching. But she's better than a lot. I've seen a couple people ask about touring a Wolf 359 live show. Thank you for asking again. Please ask again. The chat moves fast. It's hard to see. Things come in. Yeah, so let's talk about that. The problem with the Wolf 359 live show tour is that basically the people who are free to do it, or what could be free for an extended period of time to do it, with how much we think we could make doing it, is me and maybe Gabrielle. Many of the other people are busy with other things and would need to be paid, and I think that there's a combination of like, we wouldn't be able to have Michaela with us because she's going to be a doctor, and that's awesome, and she should be a doctor, and like being on tour is really, really difficult to swing when you've got being a doctor to balance with it. So I hope that answers your question. It's just challenging, which is why the Patreon stretch goal is a Doug Eiffel sort of stand-up special. A one-man show that would probably include recorded elements from other people, and we could have that live element. It's just logistically easier to do than, and that's something that I think that that Night Vale has going for it. It's a little bit more modular. The people in it are like more explicitly theater actors, or in many cases, I don't know. Like I know the sort of neo-futurist circles are like ready to travel and live that life, whereas a lot of our people are like trying to be in Hollywood. Anyway, I think that answers your question. It's tough. All right, guys. So I'm gonna take a break from the questions and introduce you guys to my guest for this week. And so, yeah, I hope that you've enjoyed this. When we come back, we're going to talk a little bit more about FOMO and, like, fear of missing out, what it means, and, like, just, like, a little bit more self-care explicit stuff. And if we can get a creator on the phone who wants to talk, maybe we'll do that. If we can't, maybe next week we'll figure it out. But all right, without further ado, let me pass you off to Eli here.
So awesome to have you here, Eli Barraza. If you're unaware, creator of the Far Meridian, and also involved deeply in Ars
so I'm a
Paradoxica.
staff writer for Ars Paradoxica. Yeah.
Right. Okay. So audio drama star.
Okay.
And just like awesome to have you here.
Yeah, thank you for having me. This just kind of happened.
Yeah, such a pleasure. You happen to be in New York because you're on your way to
London.
London.
Yeah.
And I figured we'd just grab an interview while you're around.
Yeah.
So I'd love to just get your perspective because I feel like you're in an interesting spot of like having come from an audio drama that you were a staff writer on to starting your own. I guess, can you talk a little bit about like what your experience has been in that transition?
It's been really interesting because Ars Paradoxica is so sprawling. Like, it's time travel and the U.S. government and, like, all these different characters and really working with a team. So I feel like it was a great learning environment, and obviously I'm still involved and helping out with that. And so for the Far Meridian, it's, like, I'm a control freak, so it's been kind of nice to just have, like, my own little project. And it's a lot smaller because, you know, I'm, like, a baby creator. So it was basically just starting out as like monologues I would write when I got bored, and then it turned into a podcast, and it's been definitely a new learning experience, coordinating and like getting talent and like doing dialogue edits and stuff like that. But it's been fun.
Yeah. What's your hope in creating it? I guess, do you have a goal other than making it for its own sake?
Well, I think it's such like a small story, and it's very much, at least like at the beginning, it's kind of tackling issues that may seem small, but to this character they're a really big deal. So like I have a lot of social anxiety, and I think this was a way for me to personally process some of that and have a character who is also processing it, and we're going along this adventure with her and like learning with her and rooting for her. And sometimes she messes up, and sometimes, you know, she doesn't handle things well, but it's all about that process. So I'm more interested in exploring things rather than like perfecting a story. So I guess that's my intent, is really to kind of like explore that.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And I love that. I feel like I love having written because it's how I think. Writing is painful. It's like pulling fingernails for me.
I actually love writing sometimes.
That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, I feel like I get into the groove, but starting out for me is really tough. Do you have a different experience?
I think it depends. If I'm writing like back and forth scenes, it's a little more frustrating, but because so many of the characters kind of speak in these monologues, it's just I kind of start writing it, and all of a sudden it's just happening, and I'm like along for the ride almost.
Wow.
And I used to actually base these monologues off of drawings that I did. And so I would draw a person, I'm like, okay, what's their story? And then I would just write it out. And then that's how it eventually morphed into this podcast.
That's an awesome process.
Yeah.
So I guess a lot of folks here are aspiring creators and are either at various points like working on novels or podcasts or so I guess, what do you wish you could tell yourself, I guess, if you consider yourself a baby creator, which, but like if you could go back and talk to yourself before you'd produced any episodes of the Far Meridian, what would you go back and tell yourself?
I think I would go back and just say, hey, like, take a deep breath, like it's gonna be okay. And just really stress that it's okay to bring in people for help. And I think, you know, it's like that need for control. I'm very much like, I'm nervous, like reach out to other people and like ask for opinions and stuff like that. But I think throughout this process, like that's what makes things good, is to get that outside perspective and not make something in a vacuum, because stories don't happen really in a vacuum. Like it's all about interacting with the world.
Right.
So I think that's probably what I would tell myself. Like, hey, it's okay if you like show your stuff to people.
Yeah. I get, in that vein, like I feel like I had a lot of concern early on about people stealing ideas, and now I don't have that fear because I know how hard it is for me to do my own, that I really don't think and like I think most people aren't executing on their ideas, so it's like not that much of a concern.
Yeah.
I guess, did you have any anxiety around sharing your work, and is that something that you've gotten over?
As far as like people possibly taking ideas and whatnot, like most of the people that I talk to actually don't necessarily work in audio drama. Like living in LA, I work with like a lot of people who do like TV and features and stuff like that. So
Right.
they just they have to actually adjust how they give feedback based on the fact that this is like an audio format. So I think that because the structure of the show doesn't translate as well to a different format, it's less likely someone's gonna take an idea.
Then I guess the other side is like fear of judgment, and I definitely like have been guilty of like avoiding shame in like sharing work. I don't know, was that another side of the coin?
Oh, definitely.
Okay.
I mean, like before every episode drop, I'm nervous. Like I'm nervous for the 4th episode to come out. I'm like, oh god, everyone's gonna hate it. Like it's so terrible. Oh no. But now I'm like, you know what? No, if they like it, they like it. If they don't, they don't. And I have to kind of remind myself that like it's okay if people don't like things, because like I don't like things, but that doesn't really affect the creator of what I don't like.
Right.
So it's just kind of like reminding myself that as long as someone finds it worthwhile, like that's what matters. But yeah, like during the creation process, I think that constructive judgment is always helpful. You know, like as long as someone is doing it to be helpful, not to be mean, like there's no harm because they just want to help you make it better.
Right.
So
I guess in that respect, like where do you think the balance is in creating between making it for yourself and making it for an audience? Like, is that something that you think about, and where do you fall on that spectrum?
Well, I think starting out is very much for myself. Like I was just like writing these monologues when I was bored, and it was a way for me to kind of process what was going on in my own head. And then when I realized I could kind of bring all of these together and that other people might find it helpful as well, like that's when it became more about, okay, like yes, this is for me, but other people can also identify with what I'm going through. So, you know, like it's like you're not alone, like there are other people out there, like so I feel like I've gotten a good balance, and I feel like the feedback we've been getting about the Far Meridian has been really great, and
it's coming out great.
Awesome. Yeah. So it's kind of still maintaining that balance. Sometimes I'm good at it, sometimes I'm not, but you know, it's like kind of just like ride that wave. Like I'm comfortable with being uncomfortable now. Because, you know, like there's just so many ways to experience the world, so many emotions to feel and whatnot. Like I don't want to feel happy all the time, because that's not the human experience. The human experience is everything. So
right.
Like I just have to remind myself, it's okay to be scared, it's okay to be angry, it's okay to be disappointed or whatever, because it's always going to end up balancing out.
That's freaking awesome.
Yeah.
I love that. So I guess the theme that I've been thinking about for this week is, I guess, to put it in an expression, FOMO.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, I guess, is that like something that, because I don't know, I think one of the things that I've been dealing with as a creative person and as somebody trying to, you know, make my way in this world, doing the things that I think are important as opposed to just doing stuff for other people to make things okay to then do the things that I want to do in the side time. And I feel like fear of missing out, if you don't know what FOMO means, fear of missing out, is something that steals a lot of my time and attention and sort of throws me off in a lot of ways. Is that something that, as a creator, you deal with? Oh,
yeah. I mean, like, I am one of those people that takes on, like, way too many projects, like, way too many social engagements.
Twins!
Like, it got to in college, people were kind of worried about my health because I was just so overcommitted to doing so many things. But I think in LA, I'm almost at the point where I've reached a good rhythm, but
and just to pause, when you were in college, like, what did that look like? Like, how many projects was too many, and what did that mean for your life?
Oh God. I mean, I was like involved with, like, I was the treasurer of screenwriting group, treasurer of my comedy troupe. I was like in the student awards show. I was pledging a fraternity. I was working. I was doing all of my class projects. I was doing some independent projects. I was acting in some student. So
there's like 8 things. How many hours a week were each one of those things about?
Oh, I don't know. Let me put it this way. I would sleep on the T, and
the train in
the train in Boston, and then I would sort of sleep at home. I was not home very often.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it was a little crazy, and fortunately I was able to calm down a little bit
like
after
each
that.
One of those, and I'm terrible at math, but if each one of those was like 5 hours, then that's like that's a 40-hour work week right there, and I bet they were
Oh,
more
they were
than that.
definitely
Right.
more, like, I had to, like, work to make rent
Wow.
and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And,
Oh
like,
my
obviously
God.
keep up with schoolwork. I would sleep during class.
I don't know if you can read it from here, but I have a sign taped on my wall that says, every month you get 448 hours awake.
Wow.
And I think that that's if you get like 7 hours of sleep. I forget how I did the math, but I just had to like remind myself that there's only so much time
Yeah.
in a month to balance stuff out, as much as I want to just do everything all the time.
Yeah, it was definitely, probably should have dropped one or two things at least. I mean, if I'm sleeping in class, that might be
A problem.
But it was crazy. I was still processing the information from class
Yeah.
and would wake up, raise my hand, make a comment that was relevant, and then go back to sleep. I don't know how
Wow.
that works.
Holy
My
shit.
professors were like, I don't know how you do what you do, but, like,
Keep it up.
keep it up, but also don't die.
Yeah. So I guess, like, what do you attribute? Because it sounds like you found a better rhythm and balance, and not better, like, in the moral sense, just, like, it works. 'Cause
Yeah.
like, that's unsustainable, I think. And, like, I know from my own experience, like, trying to do, like, you know, part-time job plus, like, a bunch of freelance work plus a podcast plus a YouTube channel plus, you know, friends and social life and wellness and exercise and having a cat and like
Yeah.
all these things like don't like something and really like everything kind of gets dropped in some ways when I'm trying to do all of that at once.
Yeah.
Did you learn to say no?
Yes. So
Oh, okay.
when after college, I lived in LA for a year and then had to move back home for some family issues, but I was still close enough to LA that I would drive to Beverly Hills for work every day. And I think just living so far away taught me how to say no better. And now I just kind of understand that there is an ebb and flow. So like some months I'm like, I know I'll be able to be more social, and other months I have to really crack down more like on my creative work and stuff like that. And I think just kind of like understanding and like scheduling ahead of time and like knowing when I'll have time to kind of slot things in is really helpful. But yeah, it's less about saying no and more about saying not right now, which I think is a good way to think about it for me personally.
That's awesome. And just like, so you can do it all, just not all right now.
Exactly. So I know I'm going to be heading into kind of like a busier time right now with a podcast, and I have work and I do theater, and I'm also training for a marathon, and you know I want to like hang out with friends and stuff like that because it's the summer. So you know it'll probably be a little more stressful over the next few months, but I know after that, like when the farm reading goes on hiatus, I'm going to be able to kind of calm down again and stuff like that. So it's all about, I guess, understanding the current of your own life.
Yeah.
Sort of thing.
And how do you be responsible for that current? I know earlier we were talking about GCal being something that's not important to you at all, that you never use.
Not at all, like never. Like, what is GCal? Like, does it stand for something? Yeah, I actually, I'm addicted to Google Calendar. I have everything color coded. Like, podcasts are a certain color. When I have like a meeting over a meal with someone, that's a certain color. Like that sort of thing.
Do you distinguish meeting meals over meeting calls?
I don't really do meeting calls that often because
okay.
I hate talking on the phone, even though that's a lot of my job.
All right.
So yeah, I prefer kind of like more face-to-face interactions. I get very nervous on the phone and like paste, and it's just not good.
Right.
But yeah, so it's like the color coordinating, and I'll have like a roadmap set up with like that's also color coordinated, just so it's like per project I like know like what is needed, when it's due, who I have to talk to about it.
Right.
And I think that's the other thing that like
is that on your
makes it
calendar
easier.
also, the roadmap, or is
Oh
that
no,
something
that's
else?
like a Google Drive, Google Sheets.
Oh, okay, so you use a
So
like-
Google Calendar is like the overview, and then like per each project has its own Google Sheet with like the specific due dates for that specific project.
Oh, cool. And do you use like another to-do manager, or is it just between Google Calendar and Google Sheets?
It's basically just Google. I've been like thinking about trying out other programs and stuff like that, but for right now this is what works.
Right.
And I don't think I need much more. Who knows?
Yeah, no, for sure. I definitely overthink what app I use, and it creates problems when I'm like, no, the solution is the app. I got to switch the app, and then I'm like, everything's in two places, and it makes it even harder.
Yeah, and
it
I think
becomes
like
another form of procrastination.
yeah. So like the simplicity I think like works best for me. Like, and I've been starting to learn like Hootsuite for like, social media management.
That's cool.
And then like I was trying to use like Trello for a while and it did not work well. Ours Paradoxo, we use Slack a lot to coordinate and talk about stuff because we're like all over the country.
And then you put it in Google Calendar once you agree on stuff.
Yeah, Misha is kind of in charge of the roadmap, and they're always like, hey, like, check out the roadmap, guys, for when things are due.
Yeah.
But yeah, but I also think having flexibility and being okay when things don't work out, like, is something I'm still learning because I'm like so obsessive about like scheduling. But
Prep
I think
and
like
planning and right.
Yeah, but my favorite adventures have happened because I didn't plan for something.
Yeah, like
So-
what?
Well, like, for example, me and my friend, like, we scheduled a time to go out to this place called Baghdad Cafe in Newberry Springs, like, nowhere, and, like, there were some hiccups along the way, like, we actually got into a mild car accident and stuff like that.
Oh, shit.
Everything was fine, like, it was, like, a fender bender sort of thing, but it was, like, we still had, like, this really great time together. Now we have, like, a story to talk about, and, like, got some time to really bond and things like that.
That's awesome.
So... yeah, it's been.
I'm sorry you got into a fender bender, but like.
Oh, I mean, yeah, like
sounds
no
you
one
guys
got
ended up
hurt.
okay.
It was fine. This was like a few years back.
Okay.
But yeah, I think it's just kind of like you don't need to control the chaos sometimes. Like, it's okay.
Huh. Cool. I guess to wrap up, what do you currently do to both like what so self-care Sunday?
Yeah.
What do you do for self-care that both gives you the sort of like ammunition, energy you need during the week to like put in the discipline around like keeping a calendar, but then also have the mindset to like know when to let go and sort of like go with the flow?
I think actually running has really helped, and I know that's not everyone's thing.
Yeah.
But like that's when I listen to.
I'm gonna break because I busted my knees in a half marathon, but
Yeah, I heard about
I love
that.
it. Yeah,
That's terrible.
I'm pissed about it, but it's also what I get for not having properly trained.
I feel you. I'm nervous. I have a marathon in October, and I'm like, well, let's see how this goes.
Yeah.
My last 2 marathon attempts did not work out.
Ugh.
But they actually didn't work out because I did not listen to what my body needed. I'm one of those people that will ignore pain to the point that I break down.
Yeah.
So I think running has really taught me to like, hey, like slow down, listen, like take care of yourself, give yourself like what you need, not necessarily what you want.
Right.
And I'll like listen to podcasts, listen to like science lectures, audiobooks and stuff like that. And I love running like at night under the stars because you kind of get this like very physical, like cosmic feeling, to get kind of cheesy, but like I'm super into astronomy and astrophysics and stuff like that. So I'm like all about the night sky.
That's awesome.
So I think it just kind of reminds you, it's like you are a facet of the universe and you are important. Like just because you're small, you're not insignificant sort of thing. And like that type of thinking helps calm me down. And like if a run isn't going well, like I have to be like, okay, you know what, if we need to end it a little early, like that's fine. Like you planned for that in your route and everything. So I think that's probably been one of the biggest helps.
So
in, like,
podcasts while running.
Podcasts while running, or like science lectures, books. I'm like one of the person that like I want to learn everything.
Yeah.
There's not enough time, so it's like when I can ever get it in.
Right.
But
That's awesome.
yeah, so it's just kind of like it's soothing and it's like just me,
Cool.
which is good.
And so to break that down, like, so the running teaches you to listen to your body because you've had the injuries to like
Yep.
learn from that, and I can definitely relate with that. Is there something about running other than the learning to listen to your body, like that you get out of it?
Yeah, I think sometimes I have difficulty processing and expressing emotions, and like just the physical act of running, I think like just helps me get out whatever like I might have pent up inside, sort of thing. And it's very much like I love physically interacting with the world because like I live in LA, I'm in the car or like I'm in the office, like it's a lot of sitting. And I love like feeling the city beneath my feet, and I think just like having that connection to where I live is really important for me.
Yeah. Awesome. I loved running in LA when I was there last year. It was really great. And getting up into the hills was fun.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I once got lost in Griffith Park, and
Oh,
the
no.
10-mile run turned into a 12-mile run,
Ugh.
and my body was like, what have you done?
Yeah, my 4-mile run became like a 7 or 8 mile run because I ended up on top of a mountain in
That's
whatever
amazing.
that park that you can go hiking in is.
Probably Griffith Park.
I forget. Runyon?
Oh, Runyon Canyon.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I was like, why am I on top of a mountain now?
That's amazing. But like that's like the one bright side about LA is you can get lost in the mountains, but you're still in the city somehow.
Yeah, it was so great. Yeah, no, that's something that New York doesn't have. As much as I love you, New York, step up your mountain game.
But you have buildings instead of mountains. Like, doesn't that count? Like, you
Yeah.
can take the stairs.
I know. You get in trouble for climbing them, though. Not the
Wait.
stairs, the buildings.
Oh, okay. Well,
I wouldn't
yeah.
know. My friends have gotten arrested for that, though. Just a couple.
That sounds like the ideal reason to be arrested,
Yeah,
though. Sorry, I,
for-
like, love climbing things,
Yeah.
so I'm like, oh, that'd be fun.
Oh, yeah. No, I think they all don't regret it. But if you're watching this and you know who you are, maybe don't leave a comment to incriminate yourself. Plead the fifth. So cool. And then with the podcast and like really like what I would sort of sum up as like a media diet. So like it sounds like being able to like physically exercise emotional stuff and like, you know, just to like unplug from like rumination and just like rawly express your like and it, yeah, sort of sweat out whatever you've dealt with is like running. And then with the media diet, because I think that there's like what we actually eat, and then there's like what we eat for our mind. It sounds like science content gives you a healthy perspective and like feeds your like healthy perspective to see a bigger picture where there is meaning for like the tiny speck of dust that is you and me and, you know, like us as individuals. Is that...
That's totally accurate. Like,
Cool.
if I need to calm down, I start, like, I put on, like, I don't know, like Star Talk or Cosmic Vertigo or, like,
Nice.
Planetary Radio. And, like, I don't know, some people that makes them, like, really anxious, so it's not for everyone. But for me, it just, like, it calms me down, like, completely. And I just love listening about, like, the planets and the stars and, like, black holes and...
That's amazing.
Yeah, like, I have, like, a favorite cosmologist. Like, I'm one of those people.
Who's the...
Jana Levin. She's amazing. She has this essay called "Time Is Dead" that I actually tweeted at the Spirits Gals. It's
awesome.
amazing.
Yeah, if you don't know, Julia's over here right
Yeah.
now. Cool.
Yeah.
I guess for what type of person would you recommend your self-care practice?
Probably if you are overworked, I would almost say, and don't really take the time for yourself. Because, I mean, I commit to races because that means I've, like, put my money down and made the commitment. So I know I absolutely must carve out that time for myself. So I think, giving yourself concrete goals and, like, very concrete reasons why you have to commit to that goal. Like, for me, it's monetary. Like, that is helpful. Personally. So, yeah, I guess, like, it's if you think you have no time, you will make time to achieve this. Sort of thing.
Cool. I can definitely recommend and relate to that, like paying for races. Although I had to skip one, a couple this year. Well, there's one that was like, it was below freezing.
Oh, that's not...
At 6 a.m. So, and I had a bigger race coming up and like a big job. So that was like, don't kill yourself. And then actually today I was supposed to run the Pride race, but my knees are still messed up and I don't want to push it because I'm going for next year's marathon here in the city.
Oh my gosh.
There's a 9+1 program, so you like run 9 races and assist at 1 and then you're good. And I'm like slowly working my way up. I think I have 4 or 5 under my belt and have gotten the volunteer done. So just got to like get well enough to run a couple races and be good. Anything else that we haven't talked about? Is there a question that you love to be asked that I haven't asked yet?
Oh, I'm the worst person when it comes to that. I'm like very reactionary. I'm like, I'll tell you whatever you want to know, but I don't know. I don't know what to offer you.
Okay.
Like I would, So I think that's about it.
Cool. Parting words. What would you say self-care means to you?
Self-care means to me, I guess, carving out the time for myself that I know that I need, even if I don't necessarily want it.
So eating your broccoli.
Yeah.
Against the taste buds.
Yeah, but finding like a creative way to do that sort of thing. So that's kind of what self-care means to me. Like, as just a very busy person, it's like it might make me a little bit busier, but I know it'll be good for me.
Nice.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much for joining me, Eli.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Awesome. Where can people check you out?
Well, for the podcast, The Far Meridian, pretty much we are The Far Meridian, Tumblr, Twitter, Instagram. We have Gentle Encouragement Mondays on the Farm Meridian Tumblr.
I love that.
Which, if you are like really nervous about anything and just need some gentle encouragement, not like hoorah, but like,
Right.
hey bud, you can do it. Every other Monday when we don't drop an episode, you can message us and we will answer.
Check it out tomorrow.
Tomorrow,
You'll be on a plane.
I will be in London, so the time difference is going to be wonky, but I will still
Right.
answer any and all messages we get with some gentle encouragement. And yeah, and
that's relevant to your show because...
So the main character has really severe anxiety. Like, she is agoraphobic, and she is learning how to come out into the world, and a lot about what the podcast is like giving yourself time to process things, which is probably just a little nod to my own self. But yeah, so sometimes, you know, you don't need someone like yelling at you. You just need someone to say like, hey, like, you can do it.
Yeah.
Like, you got this. You know, you've made your plan. Now you just have to carry it out and like right on. Like, you can do it basically. So
Yeah.
you know, just not something that's overwhelmingly
So that's
positive.
Gentle Encouragement Mondays on the farmmeridian.tumblr.com.
Correct.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And is there anywhere you want people to check you out personally?
I mean, I do have a Twitter, Eli Lizzie Lisbeth. It's basically me just talking about like science and like social issues and climate change and like making dumb jokes.
Amazing. And
Yeah.
if people have any questions about what we talked about, they can hit you up there.
Oh my god, totally, yeah.
Awesome.
Definitely down.
Cool. Well, this is Eli Barraza, everybody.
Thanks.
Yeah. Awesome.
Right on.
And now you can hear me. Okay, great. So fun! I'm so glad you guys were able to check that out, and thank you, Eli, if you're watching this later, for stopping by. Definitely check out the Farm Meridian in the web browser around me. It is places unknown, memories resurfaced. It's wonderful. And on Twitter, it's fun to check out their Gentle Encouragement Mondays. What a great idea. So yeah. Aw. That's cool. So yeah. Give them a follow. I'm in a weird web browser right now that's not logged in. I follow them. They're great. Cool. So let's go to the calls. 1 second, I'm gonna full sized. Alright. So yeah. Let's see if you guys can hear this.
Hi, this is Valenti, Ariel from the live stream. I am just have questions in regarding about the live stream and my friends are starting. We have a few of our bases covered. It's just that in terms of the setup and lighting and other processes, it's making a complicated time, and we were wondering if you had any advice towards that. We appreciate all the help we can get, and thank you so much.
Oh, that's so cool! Someone wants to start a live stream. Okay, so let's actually give Ariel a ring. Let's see if Ariel picks up. And if you have questions, you can leave them at this phone number. Oh boy. Come on. I'm just going to make it a little easier to see. This is 914-340 HELP, which is 4357. And 1 moment. Let me just make this a thing. You guys can see. I'm gonna go small again. Just for sanity. Yeah, that's the number. Feel free to use it. And if you do call this number, you will very, very likely be featured on a stream. So definitely don't call if you don't want to be heard. But yeah, I'm going to try to give Ariel a call right now. Call. This I want to make sure that I can hide y'all's phone numbers, because, you know, that'd be good. All right. We're calling. We're ringing. Ooh. Is that too loud? It's a little louder for me than it is for you guys. Cool.
Hello?
Hey! Can you hear me all right?
Hi. Yeah.
Awesome! This is so exciting. Thank you for being willing to talk, and I'm thrilled that I might actually be able to be useful. Can you tell me a little bit more about the show you have in mind?
Okay, so the podcast idea that my friends and I have in mind is that sorry.
No problem.
Is that it's this concept of this ghost girl, and gets the I have the files pulled up. I'm gonna wait for it to load and everything. I'm sorry.
No, it's fine.
But
so
basically,
just to be clear, so you're working on a live stream show, or is it
it's
podcast?
more like a podcast. Yeah, it's
Okay.
more like a podcast thing. Yeah.
Cool. And how does lighting factor into it? You mentioned lighting and that sort of a thing.
Well, it's not really like lighting and all that sort of stuff. It's more like, sorry, I have everything confused right now. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
But, so really, it's more like along the lines where this girl is a ghost and trapped within her house. And she's trying to find out who,
Oh, crap. Sorry, I killed the call. My bad. Oh boy. No! Oh man. Oh god, so many moving parts. Ah! I'm coming. Sorry. Hey, sorry about that. I pressed a dumb button.
That's alright.
I pressed the do
It's
not
all
press
right.
button. Okay, great. So you're working on a podcast. It's about a ghost haunting.
Yes, and she is currently, she's trapped within the house, and she's trying to find out who killed her, and along the way, along the time, there's this girl who stumbles into the house, and she's intending to move in there, actually, and then she finds out that the ghost is in there.
Right. And so where are you guys stuck? Because it sounds like there's some technical stuff that you're still trying to line up.
Yeah, it's really technical stuff. We're trying to figure out what software would be best into helping all of this, because the people who want to help and work out on this, we're kind of dispersed all over the place. And we just wanted to know what good software would be nice to use in order to combine all the ideas together and to basically actually help record too.
Okay, so when you say live streaming, is the issue having a chat so that you guys can all be interacting in real time, even though you're across the world?
Yeah, and it's also and in terms of the podcast, it's similar to the writing, because we're trying to also figure out planning time as well, how often do you want to do things, and it's also writing the script itself too. It's really difficult to do the writing, because we're trying to make sure that all the ideas are kind of placed in itself.
Well, so I don't know how useful I can be for everything right now. It sounds like the biggest problem you guys have is collaborating remotely.
Because we use Facebook, really. Facebook Messenger and things like that.
And what's not working about that, or what would you like to work better?
It's just really the fact that, because we also use, like, we opened up a Google Docs drive as well, so that way we can type out the ideas and things like that of, like, stuff that we want to go well. It's just that when it comes time for the recording, we're just not sure if each of us has the proper software to use for it.
Right. Okay. Cool. That I can help with. So, I assume that you guys don't have a budget to buy software for everybody.
I know.
Yeah, that's fine. There's, let me just see if it is actually free. No, it's not. It's the other one. Okay, so there's two things that I'd recommend for you to try. So the first is, one second, I'm going to go into the screen share thingy and make myself small. Okay, great. So the first is this program called Ardor, which is less common than, like, I think fewer people know or use it than something called Audacity, which is more popular, and both are free, and both will give you a great quality recording, provided you have a microphone that you want to use.
Okay.
So that's going to be the big challenge with everybody, is getting it to sound consistent when they all have different microphones, and I don't know a great way to do that for free, unless you have everybody, say, use the, like, if everybody has a Mac computer and everybody has the Apple, like, ear pods that come with, like, an iPhone, then everybody could use that mic and it would sound consistent. It may not sound the way you want it to sound. I think consistency is the key. Even if it all doesn't sound as good as it could in a studio with, like, a professional audio engineer, getting it to sound the same is going to be the biggest challenge. And there are low-cost mics on Amazon you could use to solve that, but it sounds like software is the bigger problem right now.
Yeah.
Cool. So either one of these, I think, will do you right. I think Audacity is going to be easier for most people to get started on, and have the most limitations. And I personally am allergic to the interface. Like, I really don't like Audacity, as awesome as it is for a free program. I just find it to be a little bit wonky and hard to use. Ardor has a lot more features, and because of that can be a lot more confusing and feel complicated. But I personally find the interface to be a little bit clearer to understand. Mostly because I come from a world of pro video stuff, so just there's some things that are sort of transferable skills. But yeah, so that would be my recommendation for these things. If you want something that is, so these are like apps you have to download. The last thing that I'd recommend is a thing called soundtrap.com. I don't know why.
Soundtrap.com?
Yeah, I'm trying to load this picture of Audacity, but it's really not happening. But soundtrap.com, it's going to be limited because they have, like, a subscription tier. So, like, there's a free version that you can use with people that will basically, nobody has to install anything. It all runs in the browser if you have, like, Chrome.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have Chrome. That's what I'm using. I use my Chromebook.
And, 1 second. Okay. So, Soundtrap? I forget my password, but maybe I can log in with Facebook. I forget if I did. Uh-oh. 1 second. Oh boy. Lift. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to be able to log in. Is that going to work? Yeah, I don't remember my password for the life of me, but
That's all right.
that's fine. Basically, it'll let you record audio in a convenient way for free. You will probably have to immediately export the files and then delete the project from Soundtrap, because you can only have like 5 or so projects at a time unless you subscribe. But that might be a really easy way for everybody to do it with it, and it's a lot easier to use than both of these, Audacity and Ardor. So yeah, I think Soundtrap might be the most convenient solution.
All right, thank you.
Yeah,
I really
my
appreciate that.
You bet. Awesome to get to talk to you. Thanks for calling in.
And it's great to talk to you too. Thank you so much for your help. I really appreciate it, and
My pleasure.
I do appreciate the chat as well, because you're just giving so much helpful advice and things like that. It's really nice to be in a good environment like this.
That's so great. Thank you. So yeah, you guys in the chat, you're amazing.
Right.
Awesome. Well, bye for now.
Bye for now. Thank you, Mr. Valenti.
Yeah, have a wonderful rest of your Sunday. And you can call
You
me
too.
Zach. Mr. Valenti.
I'm sorry.
That's awesome. Awesome. Well, have a good one. Okay, I think we got one last call. So let's see.
Hi, it's me, Ronnie Gosh, with a question. So, well, to kind of like lay the base for the question, in 20 days precisely, I graduate with my master's degree, which is really cool because I've been like working on this for 2 years, and I'm super stoked. But I have done the stupid thing where I didn't apply for like PhD programs or look for really, really fun jobs while I was in this program. So like once the fall comes and everybody's going back to school, I'm kind of just like sitting here still stuck in my regular restaurant job. And so I guess my main question is just like, once you like leave school and start like doing things, how do you just kind of like not get lost, I suppose? Because I have a bunch of stuff happening. I have a book I'm trying to finish. I have, a podcast I'm writing. I do like work at the restaurant. I have sewing commissions. I was the kid with the Eiffel flush that you saw, so I do that still. I still have like things. I feel like my identity was like so wrapped up in being like the student that I don't know what I'm going to do now that like I'm not the student.
Right.
But yeah, so I know it's like a stupid question, but it's just been like
No, it's not.
plaguing me. I haven't been able to sleep. I have nightmares about everything now. It's really great, let me tell you. But yeah, sorry if I sound like really weird. I'm just like
No.
super nervous. But yeah, man, you take care and I'll see you later. Alright, bye.
Awesome. Well, let's see if we can get Ronnie on the phone. Alrighty.
Hello?
Hey, Ronnie, how are you?
Oh, wow, I'm pretty great.
It's awesome to have you on the show. This is like a delightful little experiment that I think we'll have to do more of.
Oh, yeah.
Thanks for calling in.
Oh, thanks for letting me call in.
Yeah, absolutely. So I totally relate to this question. When I graduated from college, even before, I had this like sort of deep existential crisis of what am I? Like, am I a filmmaker? Am I a social entrepreneur? Am I a student? Am I none of these things? Am I like a jack of all trade and master of none? I don't know if that's sort of, it's like a little bit different, but it was sort of like a question of identity, which is what I heard in your question. And I guess, my question for you would be, is there some I was talking to somebody recently who said there's a German expression called the red, um, something like the red thread or something like that. I'm totally messing that up, I'm sure, but the idea is that there's like something that like ties things together. So if somebody's like going on and on with a story, they'll go like, "What's the red thread?" And it'll be like, okay, so like, what's the thing that's like weaving it all together? Um,
Yeah.
Between all of your artistic things, like, and your studies, like, is there something that you're really passionate about, or something that that you're committed to? Be it an idea or a theme that you like to explore, or is there anything that sort of like resonates across all of the different activities that you do?
Well, I know this probably is going to sound kind of lame, but I really like telling stories. I mean, I wanted to do it since I was a kid. I mean, I was like 6 or 7 when I went into the library for the first time, and I realized that every single one of those books was written by like an individual, and it was just like, oh my God, I could probably do that. So that's just kind of what I've always wanted.
That is brilliant. And what's cool about that, so like, one thing that I'm only just figuring out like this week after years of being like, what am I? What does it all mean? Is that, yeah, storytelling for me, like that's the thing. And whether I'm an entrepreneur or a voice actor or a filmmaker, storytelling is the muscle that I'm working on. Like, that's one of the reasons why I wanted to go live on YouTube instead of spending all this time editing, because like I didn't feel like I needed more muscle being alone with a keyboard and mouse. Like, I feel like I have that skill set in a way that I have a lot to learn. Like, hanging out with people like Gabrielle, like, he's a master at telling stories in real life, and I knew that I wanted to, to get better at that. And every video that I was editing was taking like 10 hours. So anyway, like that's just one thing that I started thinking about, is like, how can I sort of fit it all in? But your question isn't about fitting it all in, which I feel like is another bucket of questions. It's really like, how do I define myself after school? Like, not being a student, how do I not get lost? And I think that keeping the North Star of storytelling in your horizon is going to be the single biggest thing you can do.
All right.
Is that something that you feel has been on your radar, and do you have like strategies or ways of keeping it present for yourself and keeping it alive, or do you feel like it's something that you kind of lose sight of week to week?
Well, it fluctuates, I suppose. You know, I always get like stuff like, I'm gonna do all of this stuff. I'm gonna finish writing everything. I'm gonna get everybody together so we can finally rehearse and record. Or I'm finally gonna get stuff sent out to agents and whatnot. And then you just kind of wake up and it's like.
So you wake up and
Well,
you just cut out.
sorry. No, I'm sorry. It's me.
Oh, I got it. That is totally normal.
Because it's like everybody that's in the program with me, they all have like firm directions. They all have jobs. They all have kids. I mean, they're all just like going on with life. And I feel like no matter what I do, I'm judgment.
And this is where the whole, and I don't know if this is helpful to hear. It's something that if I didn't already have the one tattoo that I'm going to get, I'd get it across my forehead, of we're all in our own race.
Yeah. I try to keep.
And losing sight of things is totally normal. Do you know how many years I've been meaning to edit together my speaking reel?
Probably about as many. The same book.
Longer than
like 5 or 6.
Yeah, right. Just as long as I've been working on Wolf 359, at least. And I don't think I'd actually had a speech recorded before then, or it would have been even longer. And it's just one of those things that, like, so one, the things that I want to move down the court like that, I don't know. I found some interesting things. One with voiceover, I like was racing to get my reel done, and then I met an agent, and I like paid all this money for a reel. And I was like, I have a reel. Isn't that great? And they're like, we actually don't like our voice actors to have reels that are just like made up. Like, we want you to book work, so we don't expect you to have one. So like, we actually don't want it. So I was like, wait, what?
Oh.
Why did I pay all that money? So it's like, so one thing that I feel like I've discovered that I think might apply to this is like, what you think you need may not be what you actually need, because there's no one way to get to where you're going, especially with creative stuff.
All right.
And
I
then,
gotcha.
awesome. And then the second thing is like, it is totally normal to like have things sort of float down the river of time. And the biggest thing that supported me in executing things when results are important is having a community and having, you know, sort of teammates in the thing, whether it's people to hold you accountable, like, oh my God, like the biggest thing that I've had to like not go homeless since being laid off from my job at 1 month has been having Sarah Shackett, the writer and producer on Wolf 359, come co-work with me and work with me on a couple things 1 day a week. If I could pay her to be here every day, I would be so much more productive. And I would love to be in a position to do that. And it's just one of those things where it's like having somebody in the room next to me makes it that much less likely that I'll stream Netflix, and that much more likely that I'll do the thing that that they're like breathing down my neck for me to finish, so I can get something to them to move something down the court. So I would leave you with a challenge or an adventure to like see if you can build a small team, and they don't have to be people that are necessarily working on what you're working on, but just folks to like, I don't know, show up on Monday for like a 10-minute phone call to just like say the thing you're gonna do this week and like check in throughout the week or something like that. I don't know if that would be useful. Is any of this? So, are you getting anything out of this?
It's, I mean, once, school gets over, I think the whole getting lost is just like losing to like go up to somebody and say, hey, I finished this, or hey, yeah, it drove itself off the tracks and I'm looking at it while it's down in the ditch. Find some people to like give me a call or, text me or something like, hey, what are you supposed to be doing, or what are you supposed to be getting done this week, so I can, say, hey, I'm supposed to show me something, at the end of the week, so I know you're doing it.
Right, so like a little accountability group. That sounds like a great idea. And the only thing that I would say, and this is just me projecting onto your tone, this is not like, please feel free to tell me that I'm crazy, is to just make sure that you're still being kind to yourself and to the people that you are enrolling in this group, because I know how easy it is I know how likely I am to beat myself up for not producing a result, and I love the attitude of like, hey, what'd you do this week? Did you get it done? Why is it not done? Let's do, and like in the process of that, to not like beat yourself up or beat anybody else up, and I don't think you're at risk for beating anybody else up.
Oh, no, not yet anyway.
Yeah, I think it's mostly just like making sure to build in the like tolerance for yourself. Yeah, I guess like, I don't know. I was in this workshop once. I was like assisting, and it was like real important to be there on time because like the whole day was really tight, sort of like a film set, and I was devastated to oversleep my alarm. It was the worst feeling in the world. And I like dragged my butt out of bed and like got there late. I was so ashamed. Like I even thought about like not going because it was just going to be so hard to face people down for not being on time, and I ran in and was like immediately apologizing, and somebody just like the person who was who I was talking to, managing the team, just had me stop, take a deep breath, and say. It sounds stupid saying it now, but like they were just like, Zach, I need you to do something if you want to stay, and like help out. And it's like, okay, great. What is that? It's like, I forgive myself. I was like, what? No way. Like, it was fun. I don't know if don't remember if I actually said no way, but in my head it was like, how can like why would I do that? I'm wrong. And it's like came down to like either I can not forgive myself, and in this case like actually leave and not assist, which is like not true for most things. Like, you know, if I on an actual film set it'd be like, we don't care if you're sorry, but like get to work or you're fired. But in this case it was really useful. It was like I could see clearly that in any area of my life I can either not forgive myself and suffer and have to do the job anyway, or I could forgive myself, which is obviously one of those things that's like easier said than done.
Oh yeah.
And it starts with saying it. And it was tough because like I like went through this, like I'm imagining what my face looked like. It was like, I'm sure I went red and then green and then purple, and just like finally the computer like overheated and blew up, and I was like, fine, I forgive myself. And it was like, you know, a moment later I was back to like shame and guilt and feeling bad, and I was like, I don't understand. I can say it, but like it doesn't mean anything if I don't really feel it. And they're like, well, here's the thing about forgiveness is, like anything, it's something that it's an act of speaking. It's a speech act that you declare and then act accordingly. And inevitably you will not and fail and then, you know, start beating yourself up again, which I did in the next moment. And it's like, in that moment, all there is to do is just clean it up and just like, oh, look at that. I'm not forgiving myself. 1 second. I forgive myself again. And it's just like to kind of keep doing it. And it took me about 4 hours in that day for my internal state to catch up with my word. For like the feelings and thoughts and like radio static in my head to like kind of get the volume turned down slowly. And it's like that expression, fake it till you make it, like that kind of applied, but it was like really like a mantra, like I forgive myself, because like either I'm gonna have to do it anyway, like I'm gonna have to live my life all the same. Am I gonna be the bad guy to myself, or am I just gonna be a guy that forgives himself? Because nothing's perfect, and like in a way everything's perfect, because you know it can't be any other way than the way it is right now at any given moment. And what's next? And who are you going to be? So I hope that was useful. Now,
Yeah.
Rant over.
It's fine. Your ranting is fine.
Awesome. Any final thoughts? Anything that you heard out of that you want to take forward and incorporate into your practice, or any new thoughts?
Just that, you know, I just have to work harder on, you know, being the best me and forgiving myself on the days when I'm not, and reminding myself that, you know, that's just what I can do, is just go forward and be me and not worry about those other fools, you know?
Hell yeah. Awesome.
But thank you so much for calling me. Sorry that I like cried on the phone.
Not a problem for me. I do it all the time. Yeah, it's just lovely to get to connect, and I look forward to hearing how things are going. Definitely, like, let us know in the chat.
Oh yeah,
and,
most definitely.
This number is not going anywhere, and yeah, all the best.
Awesome. I'll like come down with my my degree. I'll just come in on the chat on not next Sunday, but like the Sunday I graduate, just come in and be like, hey guys, look at this.
Yeah, that's awesome.
sacrificed like 3 different limbs for it.
Oh God. Right on.
All right, thank you again, and I'm gonna let you go because I know there's probably other people that want to talk to you too. So you
My
take care,
pleasure.
okay?
Yeah, you too. Bye bye.
All right, bye.
Awesome. Well, this has been such a pleasure. There's one more question that I have from the chat. Angel of Grace 96 asked, "I recently got fired from my job for being neurotypical, and I'm imagining that's neuroatypical. And now I'm terrified I won't be able to hold down another one. Any advice?" So the reason I say you probably mean neuroatypical is like, if I got fired for being diagnosed ADHD, that I think that would be illegal. So that's one thing is yeah, Angel of Grace 96. I have a suspicion that if that's the case, and you're in America, there's like a Disabilities Act. And I don't think you can be fired for, under this act, discrimination against a disabled person is illegal in employment, transportation, public accommodations, communications, and government activities. So, yeah, the ADA. So that's something to look into. I am not a lawyer. You'd obviously have to talk to a lawyer. For this sort of a thing, I bet you that there's like somebody who would take your case for free, on like a percentage of the, like, whatever. Yeah. I think that you have a really good case, and I think that you'd be able to get somebody to represent you, because you're probably entitled to some damages, if not your job back. I don't know if you're going to be able to get that job back. I don't know how that stuff works. I've never sued anybody over employment before. But yeah, pretty sure that's illegal. About holding down another job, because like, assuming you're not going to be working at this place again, and that you're going to want another job, either to make money or to express yourself, for all the reasons we want jobs. I think the big thing is to look at, like, atypical is not bad. Like, atypical doesn't equal bad. Atypical is not bad. I'm just going to keep saying atypical is not bad. Typical is not bad. Typical is not good. Atypical is not good. Good, bad, right, wrong, all depends on context. I think the Shakespeare quote, "'Tis nothing good or bad, thinking makes it so," is highly relevant. And that at the end of the day, the thing to look for if you are neuroatypical is, where is your atypicality? Your atypicalness? Your atypitude? Basically, where is your difference a superpower? Because I assert that what makes it challenging to be in one environment, like having for instance, my ADHD, while it makes traditional schooling, like sitting down and listening to a lecture and taking notes and doing well on tests, while I benefited greatly from extended time, because I really struggled with that environment. My ADHD makes me, I think, pretty damn good at live streaming and managing the chat and like switching cameras and like all of this all at the same time, because I'm not bound to the linear thinking that, you know, a neurotypical person's got. But like, please don't make me do taxes. I really hate bookkeeping, in a way that I really love negotiating. So like, I think the thing to look at is, where is your difference actually an advantage? And I guarantee you, if you look, you will find something. Good luck. Angel of Grace 96. If you have follow-up questions, please do let me know. And for everybody, bum, 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 bum. Don't forget, if you have a question, you can call in. And it doesn't really have to be creative projects. Call in for advice, and like, please note, I'm not a mental health care professional. Make this a little bit smaller. But anyway, I don't know why I'm doing this with you guys live, but this is the thing, like why I'm making this. Okay. Yeah. Dig it. Dig it. Dig it. So yeah. Thanks for joining me for Self-Care Sunday, everybody. How does calling in work for people outside the U.S.? Nizzy Holloway, that is a great question. Oh boy, I wish I had a better answer than the one that I have, which is, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah. I'm gonna have to work on that one. If anybody knows of a good solution for how do people call in to Google Hangout numbers? It's a Google Hangout number, or it's a Google Voice number. I think if I call out, it's cheap, but I think it costs you whatever it costs you. Here's what I'll say. If you live outside the U.S. and you want to call me, send me a audio file. Follow me on Twitter. I'll put up a post with an explanation on how. I got to figure it out. I should do that off the air. But anyway, yes, this has been a blast. I love you guys, and I'm gonna say goodbye real soon. Yeah, I'm gonna figure out a way for international folks to call in, because that's gonna be great. Rosie N, I wish I had better advice about talking to somebody about a serious topic that's too serious for texting but too embarrassing for talking about. Yes, that's great advice from Nanny. My advice is less useful. It is the hashtag just do it approach. It is as painful as ripping off Band-Aids are, and as relieving in my experience. So Mitzrayim, you can call for anything as far as I'm concerned. I think that creativity and self-care are the vague buckets that this show is about, and yeah, I think be mindful that I may not be able to answer everything or everyone, and that I'm definitely not a mental health care professional, or a healthcare professional of any kind. Let's see. I can absolutely accept DMs. I will be in touch on Twitter with more. I'm just going to give Tiffy just a little bit more pet and love before I say goodbye and sign off. I'm going to set up a link so that you can subscribe here, see the video that YouTube thinks you'd like that I've made here, or really anything. And yeah, you guys are the best. Oh man, now where's the off button? Until next week, have a great week. Oh, super shout out to the people on Patreon who make this possible, and just like, you guys are the best. Thank you for partnering with me and being a member of that community. I've been putting up weekly behind-the-scenes blogs for y'all, and it's been awesome to test out some more intimate raw content there. So yeah, thank you to everybody in the Patreon fam. Welcome to anybody who's joining this week, and subscribe to this channel if you haven't already, and set up notifications to be some of the first to know when I go live. Till next time.